So yeah, I don't know. I had no problem. I
Okay.
was late, so I just clicked on it, logged in, and got in.
All right. Well, no problem. So we have 2 participants by phone and 2 on video with us today. So I'm really delighted that you all could make time to be here. This has been great having an ongoing monthly series focusing on inclusion in our schools. And we've had different directors join different months. Some of you've been on together, some of you haven't. And I get to hear about all the great things you're doing in your school. So this is a neat chance to be together. And I just want to share really quick what we're going to do in today's webinar. We'll probably be on, just to give you a sense of time, maybe, not a full hour, but maybe 30, 40 minutes. And then I'm going to have you introduce yourselves, if you would. So in today's webinar, we're going to share ways that we're currently using teen helpers in our school. And so, Anna, did you do it?
Yeah, I tried something else and I made it work.
Well, welcome. It's so crazy. You don't know sometimes with these services what it is, but I'm glad you could see the slides. I was just saying, I'm going to share a little bit. I know some of you are familiar with what we do in the TAP program, and just want to share about that a bit. We'll be doing our recruiting after Passover for next year's group. And we're going to think about how we can use our teen helpers with social connections, as well as how teens can help with academic learning. And then we'll open up for your Q&A. So I'd just love to have you introduce yourselves to each other. Anna, do you want to start and share about who you are, the work that you do, and how you use teens in your program? And we'll give everyone a chance.
Sure. So I'm Anna Acker. I am the Associate Director of JQuest B'Yachad, which is the joint religious school between KIAJ and Beth Shalom in Elkins Park. I work with Rabbi Stacy Rigler to run the program. Underneath my umbrella, the way that we split it are our teams, Madrichim, and teachers and implementation of the curriculum, among other various things, obviously. So we have Madrichim on Sundays and on Tuesdays that are part of our classes. We have a number of Madrichim that are just like generic Madrichim that help with the class and whatever needs to happen. And then we have a few teens who are one-on-one with a student with special needs. So we use the kids in both ways. And then we have been trying this year as well to give our teens training throughout the year on various topics. We've had 3 trainings so far to try and help make sure they're learning so that they can be better Madrichim in general.
That's excellent. Thanks for that overview and sharing about the different ways you're using your teens. Do you feel like right now there's anything that's, it sounds like you're doing ongoing training. Is there anything you feel like they're missing that you observe that they really need?
I think that it's always hard for teens, and then I have to work with the teachers on the other side too, to really figure out how to best utilize them. And I have some teens who are really excited and really are like, ask, hey, can I help with this, or can I help with that, or they just automatically walk over and help kids. And then you have those other teens who really aren't as sure, they don't want to step on the teacher's feet, and it's hard to try and figure out that balance of how to best utilize the teens in the classroom without it being another job on our already way busy teachers to try and figure out how to make them not be, just sitting there doing nothing. Does that make sense?
Thank you, Anna. I think that from what I hear, that's a challenge and a balance across the board in schools. And and as we know, we love those teens who take initiative and jump right in. It's amazing. And, for many of our teens just developmentally where they are, we've got to really nurture them. And that can feel like another job for the teachers.
Absolutely.
Yeah, thank you. And that's true, the range of experience. Suzanne and Barb, would you guys introduce yourselves and share about what the role of teens is and how that's working for you now?
Sure. Barbara Glickman, and I'm the ed director at Ohev Shalom in Bucks County.
I'm Suzanne. I'm the special needs coordinator here at Ohev Shalom and wearing a variety of other hats.
Can you see us? Because all we see is you, Gabby.
I can see you, Barbara. We can't see Anna and Narda, but we've got them by phone.
Okay.
Okay.
So we have, similar to what Anna said, we have Madrichim who are in the classroom with the teachers. We have a few who are one-on-one with the student in the classroom, but we also have some that are based out of our Gesher room, which is our academic support resource room.
And those people working.
Suzanne, can you slide over so we catch you on the microphone?
Okay. Okay, is that better?
Yes.
Okay. And the Madrichim in the Gesher room, they are working one-on-one with kids for support and giving them support and structure. So we're doing a lot of different layering of utilizing the Madrichim. But I agree with Anna that maturity is always a big piece, and whatever their skill sets come, but we're doing ongoing training.
Right, and we also train the teachers how to best use, we give them written guidelines, how to use them in the classroom. And one of the challenges that we find is some of the more veteran teachers kind of take a step back and don't utilize them. Some of the newer teachers are more likely to utilize them, not just as an extra pair of hands in the class, but to work with students.
Yes. So you guys also really captured sort of the great thing and the challenge, right? That a lot of it can depend on the teacher's attitude.
Right.
If they look at the teen as a real asset or just, kind of a body who's there to clean up a bit.
Right. And, but it also depends. We have two girls this is their first year. They are phenomenal.
Amazing.
They're amazing, but they're also working with teachers who are utilizing them the right way. The challenge we have is the rest of them who kind of are just like there.
They're a body. So it also depends upon the teacher to nurture and to guide the Madrichim, because we're not there the whole time. They're in the classrooms. We really need the teachers to support the goals to make the kids to be successful.
For sure. And Suzanne or Barb, both of you, can you say a little bit when you mentioned that you do training with your teens, what kind of skills or resources do you try and give them?
Well, we start out at the beginning of the year talking to the kids and teaching them, showing them what to expect with the child, some of the guidelines, working with children that have some challenging learning. We start out that way, just that everybody's on the same playing field. Then throughout the year, and it really is almost monthly, we sit and I meet with the kids and talk about various problems, scenarios, certain problems, or they troubleshoot with me because they often will say, gee, I want to be more involved, which is very interesting, where the teachers think that they are helping and guiding, but in reality, the kids feel that the Madrichim feel that they're not. Mm-hmm. So I often have to be the mediator between and making sure that everybody is communicating on the same line. So that's important too. So we have training monthly. I meet with the kids.
Right, Suzanne, a lot of the Madrichim falls under Suzanne's umbrella because most of them are working with students with special needs or working to do the support in the classroom. So I'll oversee all of that, and I'll do a quick observation if I'll talk to the Madrichim and share what they share with me with Suzanne, and we come up with some sort of written guideline. I know in the beginning there's a lot of role playing, and
one of the things we do is we have evaluations. The kids self-evaluate and the teachers evaluate. And that also, it helps too, because then again, it opens up the lines of the communication and what is inferred and what is really happening. And that's important. What we think is going on, sometimes it's not. Teachers, I'm telling them what to do, but when you take a step back, you find out they're not communicating. And that's important. Or the teens, remember, this is their first opportunity for a job. And so we are teaching them on the job training and what it's like, and we're giving them a new set of skill set of leadership.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
one of the things one of the reasons I really wanted to be on this webinar today too was because I'm getting some pushback from our board as to why we need the teens in the classroom. So I'm also looking to get some information.
Oh,
having them engaged.
I'll share my slides with you, Barb, because
Okay.
where we're going to go in a minute is how we can use our teens in the social as well as the learning support. So,
Well, when I answered, I said we want to keep them engaged in Jewish life, and if this is how we're going to do it. But when unfortunately lay leaders don't sometimes get that whole big picture.
Yeah, no, that I totally get it. I will give you these slides, and you can
Great, thanks.
help share them with your board. Narda, I'd love to hear from you too in terms of Beth Chaim. I know you had some teen volunteers, and it sounded like maybe you were just struggling to get some teens this year.
Yeah, we don't have them anymore. We had them last year for the first time. We had the 3 girls who got some training during the summer before. They belonged to a TED program. And one of them worked with, stayed all the time with one student with autism spectrum and helped him in first grade. This year we don't have the girls anymore, and we don't actually have any Madrichim at all. So this boy, who is now in second grade and had a lot of problems with his behavior, has now a special worker who works with him also in public school. So he is doing much better with her help and controls his behavior. But we have a few other children with learning differences, and I would love to have next year to hire a teacher who is expert in working with children with learning differences, but for me personally, it's very important that that teacher will know Hebrew, because we have to increase the level of the Hebrew in our school, and to help especially these children, because the foreign language is very hard for them. And also we would like to have Madrichim. We have to think how to do it, because we could use a lot of help. The point is that we have confirmation class twice a month, and those 3 girls who helped last year, they belong to confirmation class, so they were on the 2 Sundays that they did not have class, they came and helped. But we never had Madrichim every Sunday when we had school, and this is something that we would like to have, because I believe that it's very important first of all, for them to be engaged and to feel that they are a model for younger children, and also to help individually to the children and to the teachers. So we have to see, we have a lot of changes in our school. So I guess that in a month or 2, we will know much more, and we'll be able to plan something.
Yes, and just so everyone knows, Narda has been doing a wonderful job. She's the interim director this year. So she's been learning and planning, but as you say, Narda, there's a lot, in flux for you guys. And let me just ask Narda before we go on, how many students do you have right now, like in 7th grade, who would finish this year, and would it be in 8th grade that they go on to the confirmation program?
Yes, so right now we have 16 students are registered, but only 14 come, because 2 who had bat mitzvah, 2 girls who had bat mitzvah in November never came back. We have a few students that I always feel that the mission of the parents is just to check that they had a bar bat mitzvah, and that's it. And by that, the Judaism is over. So, and I think that I hope that 10 out of the 14 who attend the Sunday school will go to confirmation class next year. Mm-hmm. Last year, from the 7th grade, we had a very large number of students who joined the confirmation class. Mm-hmm. But even in confirmation class, we want to do some changes for next year. So we will see how it goes.
And I would just say, I know you don't know what's to be next year, but to begin having a conversation with those teens now, and you know, a couple of things in terms of the leadership for them. As Suzanne and Barbara said, that it's like they're getting leadership skills. It's their first job. For parents to know that this is something that can be on National Honor Society resumes, on college resumes. So sometimes pitching it like that. Before we move on, I just want to ask Suzanne and Barbara, and Anna, are your teen helpers paid, or is this a voluntary position?
Go ahead.
So
That's
I'll go
the number one
first.
question, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So when I inherited the program, when I was interim, so be careful because interim turns into permanent. They were paid very, very well. And when, you know, budget cuts came around, I totally streamlined the program. We started in 9th grade. 8th grade is like a feel you out volunteer year. Now we're paying our Madrichim stipends 3 times a year, or we offer them service hours, or they get a mix of both. The stipend is nominal. It's not even, you know, there's two or three Madrichim who are grandfathered in, so to speak. So yes and no is I guess the best answer.
Yeah.
Right. Anna, what about the teens who work with you? Are they paid?
10th through 12th graders can elect to be paid, but it's a stipend. We pay them $100 a semester, so it's not anything really significant.
Yeah, our stipend isn't much more than that, really. But they like the service hours because I think Council Rock School District, where we're primarily drawing from, they need a ton of them. And for some reason, I'm an authorized person, so they love that. So they'll come, you know, they'll come.
And it's
Come
fun
here.
and it's easy for the kids. They get these service hours.
Right. So Narda, that when you're looking to recruit teens, keep that in mind, that getting the service hours can be very attractive to the teens.
Yes, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds very, very important for them, I know.
Absolutely.
Yes, yeah. And I don't think that our synagogue will be able to pay.
Right.
I know that we are very limited because when we thought to have maybe for this year, we thought maybe at the end to give them a special certificate and to honor them with something, but I know that we won't be able to pay them.
Right. And at my synagogue too, Narda, where I teach at Mishkan Shalom, we also don't pay the teens, but they all get their service hours, and they you know, I've written many college recommendation letters, and you know, that's really important to them.
Yeah.
So I have a few slides I just want to share with you, and then we'll open up for Q&A. So I have a picture I'll read to you since I know Narda's on the phone. It's a graphic that was going around Facebook recently that says, we need to care less about whether our children are academically gifted and more about whether they sit with the lonely kid in the cafeteria. And, you know, we want to acknowledge in our schools that for families who have kids that are often excluded, whether it's because they have a learning difference, a developmental difference, or struggle socially for whatever reason, that it's painful to be excluded and feel like you don't have a friend. And so one piece that I want to talk about today is that in many schools we use our teens for learning support, and that's really great. And I think another component that I want to really champion is using our teens as those social buddies who can help our kids who sit by themselves, who feel awkward, who feel left out. And the teens can model how to make friends and be their friends. And that's a big piece. So as many of you know, we at Jewish Learning Venture, we have our Rita Emerson Fellowship TAP program. I have a picture of this year's group, and they're amazing kids. Suzanne has come down and done great workshops with them and gotten to know the teens every year. And I know it's hard for families who live far away, Bucks County and Chester County. I feel for them. I wish we could do it more geographically spread. But for those who are able to be there, we do give the kids training in the summer and through the year. And as I share with the teens, to help the students, it's really a partnership, as you guys were mentioning. So certainly we start with the parent providing information about the student's needs. You, the education director, gathering information and communicating with the teacher and the TAP team. The teacher using strategies to support the learning style of the child who needs help. And then the TAP team being there to help the teacher's efforts, whether it's one-on-one with a student, helping the student to be part of groups of activities, offering assistance during projects. And that this, my last point is what you were all pointing to, that to make it really successful requires that ongoing checking in communication between the teacher and the teen. And that as smart and great and proactive as our teens are, as we said, could be their first time having a responsibility like this. And it really does rely on the teacher to support and communicate with the team. Does anyone want to jump in there before I go on? Okay, I'll keep sharing.
Well, I was just going to say, one thing I haven't done it as successfully here, but at my other synagogue, my previous synagogue, I used to, at our teacher training, make that a specific time to sit down with their Madrichim. We had Madrichim training the same day as teacher training, so they were both happening at the same time but being led by different people. But at lunchtime, everyone came together, and that was a great opportunity. I had a form that the teachers and Madrichim filled out together that started to brainstorm tasks around the classroom where the Madrichim could be useful. So the morning of the Madrichim training was all about thinking about we did stuff on learning styles, we did stuff on the type of things they like to do, we did, all of these training pieces. So they had preliminarily already started to fill out a sheet with the type of places they felt like they could really succeed as Madrichim. And then the teachers came in and then they worked together at lunch to fill out those combined sheets so that they started from a place of understanding. Now, did that mean that everything went smoothly? Absolutely not. I mean, there still was, a lot of figuring it out once we got in the classroom, but at least they could have that time to sit down and really start to think about what it might look like, that relationship.
Yeah.
I like that a lot, Anna. I think that's a great idea. And starting out on the same page makes it so much easier when things fall apart or communication isn't working. At least you have a place that you've begun from.
Right.
Yeah.
Barb, were you gonna?
Yeah, I was just going to say, so we ask the teachers, about the Madrichim. Most of them have been with the teacher for a couple years. They've really developed that relationship. Right. So sometimes they just kind of fit right back in. But for the newer Madrichim, that's why I like to start them a little bit earlier, find out what age group they like to work with. Because one year we had a Madrich who he was assigned to 6th grade, and it was a disaster. He would have been better off with the younger kids. And I think the placement of the Madrich, Madricha, is really important. But it's also the teacher too, whether the teacher can really, work with that. Most of the time, we're very lucky the teachers request the same one.
Yeah. I think that.
And what's nice with our kids is a lot of our Madrichim, they've come through the system, so the teachers know the kids. So that also makes it a little bit easy for the learning curve to get to know each other. That's important too. So we really know who these kids are, and they know the teachers.
Yeah, it's like a door kind of thing,
Right.
You were in my 2nd grade class, and now you're here helping the 2nd graders, and that makes the teens feel good too.
Yeah.
Right. That's huge.
It's valid. Yeah. You don't waste time with the learning curve.
That's right. And I also think what you said, Barb, about the age group, you know, and the placement. And I know for all of us, we probably have our ages that we love. I've been teaching, I like young kids and I like teens. If you put me in a 6th or 7th grade class, I would be so miserable.
Yeah.
And I think it's the same thing with our teens.
Right.
So I have a great example of that. So my own son, he's a senior in high school now. He started in 8th grade when the program started in 8th grade. And he actually, his first year, he was with his 7th grade teacher, and he worked great with the 7th graders. Up until this year, he was working with the 7th graders. He helped prep them for their bar and bat mitzvah, worked great with the teacher. So I said, all right, this year coming up, my other son was going to be in the class I really didn't think it would be a good mix. So I moved him to 4th grade to work more as a one-on-one with one of the kids and to help learning support in that classroom because there was quite a few learning needs in there. Put it this way, it was not a good match. He resigned in December. My own son quit, and there was nothing I could do. He quit. He was done. He even says to me this day, if you kept me in 7th grade, I'd still be there. It just was not for him.
Oh, thank you for sharing that. I'm sorry that, it shows you our best laid plans. And I can certainly understand as a mom why you thought that was an important decision to make.
Right, but it also shows that not every, your star Madrich might be great in one room with one grade, but in the other it's not. And then how do you replace that? And it's so hard to find, teens who are really committed, and that's a struggle too.
And I think in that story, like the maturity level of 7th graders and 4th graders is so different, and it was probably hard for him to adjust.
Oh, he would tell me he's still to this day.
Yeah, I can understand that. It's hard when teachers have to adjust to a different grade.
Yeah.
So I can.
Teenager.
Yeah. So I wanted to highlight just for a moment in terms of, the social piece and the social coaching that I mentioned. I know, Suzanne has certainly worked with a lot of kids on the autism spectrum. And Anna, I know you're integrating kids, and Narda shared about a student she has who's on the spectrum. And so I think one of the places that I encourage us all to keep, increasing our education for our teens is to let them know, if they're kids who are identified on the spectrum, some of the social things that those teens haven't mastered yet. And so if there's a group of 4th graders and they all, are mostly good with manners and emotional regulation and turn taking and some of those skills that we expect kids to have, that we share with our teens about autism and why some of our kids might be struggling and how they might be that person who sits with a child when you're doing a small group game and can sort of help coach them or even model for them. Suzanne, anything you want to share in terms of how you work with your teens who are doing some of that more one-on-one work?
Well, you hit it on the head, Gabby. I kind of show the teens on what the expectations. I let the teens know what is coming up so that they know to let their child that they're working with closely what is coming up, the expectations, and just show them that we're all learners. Some of us have to learn differently. And so I kind of model for my Madrichim what I want them to model for their child. That's important because, again, it's a learning curve. And then we talk about different strategies and on how to approach things.
And Suzanne, even we have a newer Madricha we brought back to replace my son working with this one child, and I noticed that she just wasn't comfortable. I don't think she really knew what to do. So Suzanne came up with a checklist that we laminated, put in the back of the classroom. So she's not sure what to do because you don't want her to hover. She stands back, helps other kids, but there's a checklist somewhere that she can refer to to help for this particular child.
Oh, that's a great idea. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Anna, have you had any, I know you've had, some of your teens doing some one-on-one. Have you given them any special coaching or training?
Yes, I think
She said,
oh, sorry. Oh, sorry.
No, it's okay. I mean, I think what we've done is we've sort of sat down with the teen and really kind of filled them in on their specific student needs and profile and strategies to help with that teen. And then I've been on hand a lot for, if there's a question that comes up or something that needs to happen. We haven't done a larger, more formal training with our teens, but for the ones who are in that capacity, we certainly have. And then for our older teens, I've encouraged my teachers to fill in their Madrichim with some of the students in the classroom that maybe don't get a one-on-one, but might need a hand here or there. And so some of our older teens are helping those kids who might need a break during the day or might need some extra help throughout the morning.
Got it. Thank you. So exactly. So, again, I think the way that teachers also can mindfully think about how they're dividing partners and how they're splitting, kids into groups, so that's a great place that teens can jump in, and so if, for example, they're doing small groups and maybe some of the materials, like, Suzanne, I see you shaking your head, like there may be a child with a fine motor, challenge. So the teen could help them cut if they can't cut yet. That some of those kids might need a checklist or a visual schedule to stay on track, and the teen can show them. And just the way that that you have the kids with partners, that the teens can be there. Suzanne, please jump in. I see you shaking your head.
Sorry, I mute. So
okay, no, go ahead.
I'm also reading your slide, and I agree 100%. But also, so that the teacher knows, it's good to have that checklist. Again, the teacher has 100 things on her mind, and she's trying to meet everybody's needs. So, having that checklist, excuse me, for the Madrichim is just as important as for the teacher, so that the teacher knows what to tell the Madrich what to do. Again, we're working with children, with teens that they may not have had the experience. This is their first time of working with children, and working with children with different learning styles is just as challenging. Excuse me.
And I think when it works really well with a little bit of that extra planning of the checklist or which group you're putting the teen with, hopefully it's taking some of that pressure off the teacher, and ultimately they're seeing the support that's there.
Right. I agree. It's communication and it's planning. There are two crucial things.
Yeah, that will ultimately pay off. It's investing a little bit more ahead of time. Ahead of time planning. And Suzanne, are you okay?
Yeah, I'll be fine.
Okay, but that hopefully it's really gonna pay off and make the time that you're in the classroom more pleasant for everybody.
Right.
Just some more thoughts in terms of that big message of how our teens can be social models or coaches for our kids. Just encourage everyone to think about, what does your break look like? Especially when it's that unstructured time and the teacher might need to catch her breath, get a few things together for the next activity. That's when some kids, again, end up sitting alone or have anxiety because they're not sure what to do. And to make sure that the teens are on during those unstructured times. If kids have an opportunity to play games, so for example, at Mishkan, if the weather's nice, we have a nice grassy area where kids can go out for 10 minutes and have some fresh air, and they like to play, and they can play everything from tag to, take out little balls that they throw together. But we've observed that there are kids who are left out of that because they don't have this. We had one little girl who was just a terrific, sweet kid who had some delays. And the mom came in to talk to me and said, she doesn't know how to play tag. And that, of all the conversations we had, we knew she couldn't use scissors, we knew this, we knew that. We had no idea that if we sent her out with the other kids to play tag, that she didn't know how. So once we knew that, one of our teens would buddy with her and got her in. And this was a big success. She can play a lot more independently. This was a couple years ago. If your school has an iPad and there are so many great Jewish apps, the teen, if a teen is working with a kid on that, with a kid who struggles socially, and you bring in another teen, that's a fun, cool thing to do. And just figuring out, again, all those ways that teens can help to hang out and draw other kids to the child who's left out. And I think that's such an important learning for them in their high school years too, that, we can actually be proactive in how we make people feel part of the group. Yeah. So I'm gonna pause there. Any questions, comments, concerns? Let's circle back around. Anna, I know you're getting ready. You're putting a lot of things in place because Anna's actually moving with her family and won't be at the school anymore. Any sort of thoughts around this stuff as you're wrapping things up at the school?
No, I mean, I think that it's just, it's a process, and I think that developing a teen program takes time, and a lot of us, we all have crazy amounts of stuff going on, and so it's easy to sort of back burner it, but that if you're able to develop it and develop trainings that are good and maybe even put a person in place, I play with different models of having actually a Madrichim coordinator. In Minnesota, we had a full-time Madrichim coordinator. Here, I have somebody who's going to do the trainings because it's just honestly not something that we're able to fit into our schedule as directors. So I think if you're able to invest in your teens, it really can pay off and it can be a huge help in the classroom and also with special needs students. The more training you can give them and the more experience they have, it really will only help everybody.
Thank you.
Great.
Barb and Suzanne, anything else you want to add?
Yeah, I wanted to ask something. Is there any way that if you have instructions or guidance in writing that you could email me? Because as we plan for next year, I think that this will be very important for me to go over it and to present it to our board and try to convince everyone how important it is to have Madrichim and then to start planning it very soon.
Yes, Narda, I'm gonna send you I'll send you these slides as well as some information on the TAP program and Madrichim in general, so you can share it back with your folks.
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely. Yes, thank you. Suzanne and Barbara, anything else you want to close with?
Sometimes the teachers themselves are really good mentors for the Madrichim too. So rather than having them look at a Madrich in the classroom as an extra pair of hands, certain ones I say, oh, you're going to be the role model, you're going to mentor this child, this teenager, because we want as many Jewish educators as possible in the future. So I empower, I empower them, right? It's a great word, empower the teachers to say, hey, this is your, great responsibility, and you can work with the teens. But, as great as it sounds, we're talking about it, it is, 50% of the time that way, let's say, if we're lucky, because you never know what the day is going to bring. You never know the mood. And as much as we say and we have our vision, it doesn't always work, really.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. Like everything else in our schools, it's all the time wheels wheels going as the car's going, whatever they say. And you do have to really keep driving it and keep that communication going, because the teachers do have so much going on. And this is another component of the job, but I'm really inspired to hear from both of your schools what's going on, because just having so many teens engaged, I think, is very, very positive. And Barbara, hopefully you can keep that going with the board, keep that message going. And
I feel like, that's like a whole workshop, I think, in itself, that I have to sit here and justify this. And, you got to give them a little something. Some of them are doing it for jobs, so they don't have to go work at McDonald's. And I'd rather have them here than working at McDonald's, because they're still keeping themselves connected, right, to Jewish life. So I think I go through this every year. Just this year's the worst.
Every year. Every year is the worst. I think it's important. What I see is the Madrichim and the program. The beauty of it is keeping the kids connected. But it isn't just that. It's making sure that every child's voice is heard in the classroom. And so that's necessity, that a parent can't walk away and say, well, nobody really looked at my child and helped my child to be successful. Those Madrich really do make a difference, and they empower the student to become a better learner, to meet success, in the secret communities. I think that's really what it boils down to too. It's a win-win for everybody if it's done correctly. And it's a communication.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I will just add, Barb, I know you're super busy. If you get just in your campaign with the, with the board, sometimes I get in and I get photos of the teens in action.
We have. I will definitely take some and send them. Yes, it's a great idea. I will.
Yeah, or even a little video if you can. Like sometimes that speaks such volumes, or even recording the kids saying like a 1-minute thing. This is why I love being a Madrich. Like,
that's And for our rising 8th graders, I always, start early and say, if you continue to Hebrew high school, you'll be able to become a Madrich or Madricha. Wouldn't you love that? So we have some kids who are really looking forward to it now, but that's a year away.
Yeah.
We have to nurture it. It isn't an automatic thing. You have to really nurture it and massage it so that the kids want to do it, make that commitment. And that's also another piece of this. They might want to do it, but their lives get to be hectic too.
Oh, yes.
You want to make sure they're going to do it and have a commitment to do it.
Right.
Because nothing's worse than you're in 1 week and then you don't see the kid, the Madrich, for 2 weeks at a pop, and that's hard. The child looks forward to it. The teacher looks forward.
Definitely.
Yeah.
All right, and Narda, I'm gonna send you some stuff probably tomorrow, so look for it.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Thank you. It was really wonderful to listen to everyone.
Oh, glad we could be together, guys.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Yes, thank you.
All right, take care, everyone.
Thank you.
Have a great day.
You too. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. You too. And